Now, Khamzat Chimaev said that he's not going out. He doesn't want to interact with people. He doesn't want to get sick.
The words, if we go to the mall, if somebody gets sick and he's big fan, he's gonna come for me, and maybe we get that sickness, you know. So I have to be careful for that. Better to stay home, prepare for the fight.
I was just a cunt. I mean, I was here when he retired from COVID. Bro. I was training with him. Like, he's just a
When you look at Khamzat, you have to look at him when he jumps on you, you better be ready for the best. You better have the best wrestling, anti-wrestling and fighting skill ready to rock and roll.
One issue that he has had is getting sick. Sean Strickland was talking about that recently, calling him a little bitch.
No, he can fight, but like mentally, he's just a weak man.
Now, Khamzat Chimaev said that he's not going out. He doesn't want to interact with people. He doesn't want to get sick.
The words, if we go to the mall, if somebody gets sick and he's big fan, he's gonna come for me, and maybe we get that sickness, you know. So I have to be careful for that. Better to stay home, prepare for the fight, relax.
But he also doesn't want to have his time and his mind stressed. All these people and fans, they all mean well and they want to talk to you. They want to get a picture. They want you to go on podcasts and all this type of stuff. But it sucks away your mental energy. Khamzat Chimaev is avoiding everyone, but he's also avoiding them all so that he doesn't get sick.
So I sparred. I mean, I fought Dricus. I fought Rodriguez. I fought. Dricus has better stand-up than Chimaev, but Chimaev has a pretty crazy grappling. Now, I've been training with these dadgy terrorists my entire life, so it's like I train with these. I know how to get up from these guys. I can withstand the storm. I don't know if he's encountered that level of wrestling to where it might get him a little off guard. But if he could handle it, get up and work his way up. I mean, it's kind of hard because, it's a long time ago, but Brad took him down and held him down. Fuck, I should took him down. But Brad took him down and held him down. So it's like he just really has to be ready for an extreme amount of pressure on the ground. And if he can withstand that, no, he's just kind of like, again, he's like a soft man. Like, you take someone like Dricus. Like, Dricus will die. Like, that man doesn't give a Chimaev, he's just not like... Chimaev wins off being a bad guy. Like, I'm a bad, tough, scary terrorist, you know? Where it's like... And if you look at everybody who's fought, like, that pulls this card, I'm like, all right, let's go. Shit starts changing. So I don't think... I think it's just some kind of a bull.
They're calling it strange, even for a man who thrives on chaos. Khamzat Chimaev isn't doing his usual chest-thumping world tour. No smiles in crowded malls, no quick selfies after sparring. Instead, he's shutting the door, skipping hangouts, and telling the boys that one handshake, one cough, one overexcited fan could upend a title run. The first clip of him saying he would rather stay home, prepare, and relax sounded cold, but the meaning was obvious. Eliminate distractions, avoid a bug, and keep the mind quiet before the storm. Michael Bisping cut through the hot takes with a practical read. This isn't paranoia, it's prevention. Anyone who has seen a fight camp derailed by a random virus understands why a contender goes quiet. The podcasts, the photo requests, the little 2 minutes brother conversations might feel harmless, yet they siphon energy. And with a history of getting sick at the wrong time, minimizing risk becomes a professional choice. When you hear he's avoiding the mall, it isn't panic, it's discipline. That's where the whispers rush in. Reports claim there could be visa or legal clouds above the camp. Counter reports say the path is clear and the right people are helping. The event has a city. The calendar is set. Relationships at the top of the sport and in politics tend to grease wheels, and fans point to that whenever travel becomes a talking point. Rumors suggest that as long as powerful allies enjoy cage-side nights, marquee matchups find solutions. None of that wins a fight, but it explains why his team isn't losing sleep over paperwork while the training clocks keep ticking. Meanwhile, the rivals keep the volume high. Sean Strickland is not one to filter, and he painted Chimaev as a terror in the room who can wobble when the first plan doesn't land. He questioned target selection, called one choice convenient, and said the man is physically fierce but mentally thin. Agree or not, that is how you seize airtime in a division where every contender wants the loudest microphone. It also pushes Khamzat into a familiar corner. Prove it over rounds, not sound bites. Dean Thomas made the critique colder and cleaner. Activity is math. If as a contender you show up once a year. Reasons aside, the calendar still reads 12 months. Add a belt, add media, add obligations, and the equation gets tighter. The tape shows a volcanic first surge, followed by stretches where breathing turns heavy. Against a stubborn technician, that rhythm can flip from weapon to liability. The debate isn't about toughness, it's about pacing. Champions deliver acceleration and economy, not just spikes of violence. Dricus du Plessis hears the noise and answers with a grin that says he's been doubted before. His message is simple: chaos by design. He won't wait on the sprawl, he'll walk forward, put hands on Chimaev, and make him prove that bullying works on a man who refuses to give ground. He points to Gilbert, Burns yanking Khamzat into a brawl that demanded lungs, and to Kamaru Usman forcing wrestling exchanges that turned early control into later questions. If welterweights dragged him toward deep breath territory, what happens when a full-size middleweight with a granite chin and a big tank refuses to cooperate? Demetrius Johnson drew the blueprint like an engineer. When Chimaev locks on, he wants to go to what he calls home. Control positions where he's most comfortable. He kills distance with that explosive double from far outside, wraps the hips, steals your posts one by one, and settles into pressure. From there, he waits for panic, give the neck, give the turn, and the finish comes fast. If he had his way, he would wrestle every minute and avoid trading on the feet. The question is whether an opponent can deny the second and third layers of the chain and make him work in places he would rather not linger. Bisping keeps returning to the same tension. The shot is ridiculous, the speed is startling, and he covers more ground than most athletes should be able to. Once he gets a grip, physics and leverage usually finish the argument. But there is another column on the ledger: the fade. We have seen early surges slow down in the middle. We have watched elite opponents find exchanges where Khamzat hesitates. If Dricus is truly as big and durable as he looks, walking near heavyweight numbers when out of camp, those first rounds will need real restraint and smart breathing. Strickland adds a practical loop from the gym. Dricus has awkward timing that scrambles reads. The first time a man feels it on fight night, he can look a step behind. Of course, Chimaev's grappling can still flip the board in seconds. The entire question is whether Dricus can survive the first dump, rebuild his base, and stand. If he can't, it's a long night under a storm cloud. If he can, momentum flips. There is film of him being controlled by solid wrestlers and film of him solving those puzzles around later. Both truths exist. Josh Thompson marks the clock at 7 minutes. Survive to that point and the probabilities start to tilt. He doesn't dislike Khamzat. He doubts the meter once the early burst doesn't end things. Rounds 2 through 4 are the chapters where measured pressure can turn the tide, especially if the building senses a gasp. Brendan Schaub frames the matchup as the biggest middleweight clash in years and refuses to pick, which is its own kind of praise. Two elite styles colliding with stakes that force hesitation. The training room buzz adds another layer. TJ Dillashaw describes long days and longer energy, hard grappling, then 8 rounds on the mitts, a full crew moving in one direction at the camp house. That suggests Chimaev is building volume, not just sharpness, trying to marry explosiveness with sustainability. John McCarthy warns against confusing urgency with recklessness. If the finish appears, jump. If it doesn't, don't. Set your lungs on fire, chasing a ghost in the first 5 minutes. Everyone gets tired. Champions plan the recovery before the exhaustion arrives. Underneath the interviews and spicy quips sits a simple conflict: control versus chaos. Khamzat wants to decide where the fight happens and keep it there until opportunity opens. Dricus wants to make that plan feel like riding with your offhand in a moving car. One man trusts structured violence, the other trusts stubborn volatility. The quiet around Chimaev, the staying home, the skipped crowds actually fits both stories. If he's locking in, it's discipline. If he's rattled, it's a tell. We will discover which reading survives once the cage door shuts. Here is what isn't in doubt. On the mat, Khamzat is a nightmare. He takes away posts, erases base, and turns grappling into quicksand. On the feet, Dricus is awkward, heavy-handed, and fearless. He throws from angles opponents don't expect and doesn't shut down when he's tired. He just keeps marching. That isn't pretty in slow motion, but it is devastating when a fight's rhythm cracks. If Dricus can deny level 2 and level 3 of Khamzat's chain, he'll claim enough minutes to build a lead or land something heavy. If he can't, the night turns into top control, Matt returns, and a draining grind. The only stamps that matter arrive in the first scramble and in the later rounds when a plan either holds or leaks. Mark those claims as rumor language, reports suggest people say, and keep your eyes on the clock, the corners, and the breathing. So is Khamzat acting weird? Maybe. Or maybe he is acting like a veteran who knows one stray germ, one unfocused week, one pointless media lap can cost him the only thing that matters. Fighters are human. Some feed on noise, some need blackout silence. What looks odd from the outside might be the routine that keeps the engine clean. And if the price of that routine is a few harsh sound bites from rivals who benefit from doubt, that is a trade a contender will gladly make. When the door shuts, profiles mean nothing. The cage asks cleaner questions than any headline. Can Chimaev push that ferocious pace without fading? Or has he built a steadier burn that lasts past the first sprint? Can Dricus take the storm, stand up, and make a big man wrestle again and again until confidence leaks out? Will the awkward rhythm freeze Khamzat long enough for a right hand to land? Or will the first shot carve distance, plant Dricus, and turn the night into a masterclass in control? That is why the weirdness works as a hook. It is mystery fuel. It makes fans curious, makes rivals talk, and frames a night where every minute could swing the narrative. If Khamzat smashes early, the silence will look like cold-blooded focus. If he fades and gets walked down, the silence will look like nerves. All questions meet their answers when the door locks and the bell rings inside tonight. In the end, the behavior that seemed unusual might be the smartest play in a sport that punishes distraction. Dricus du Plessis promises to crash that calm with forward pressure and an iron engine. Khamzat Chimaev promises to smother the chaos with relentless grips, lightning entries, and a finish the moment panic shows. Somewhere between those promises sits a truth that can only be revealed by time, fatigue, and the choices two men make when the noise fades and the cage becomes the only world that matters.